back to another video. Today I'm going to see if I can make some custom side skirts for the Celica. So let's grab some tools and we'll get started. Okay, so the plan is I'm going to take these two standard Celica side skirts. One's got vinyl wrap on, so that's going to have to be peeled off as well first. And what I wanted to do is cut that one down that line there, and this one down this line here, and then stitch that one to that one to make a deeper side skirt so it's more like that deep. So it gives it a little bit more depth and it should match the front bump a little bit. The only problem I think I'm going to have is I'm going to have to try and stitch these returns. I'm going to have to try and stitch these two returns together as one piece, so I'm not going to get any dirt ingress into the actual aperture under the sill and cause rot, etc. So that's going to be quite tricky. And the main problem is if it's going to be deeper, this angle here is going to be out, so it's not going to actually clamp into the car. It's not going to be that angle, it's going to be more down here, so it's going to be about an inch or two away from the actual bottom of the car. So I need to actually angle that in by heating this area up here and bending that in so that still mounts in the original mounting points. So it's going to be quite a tricky job, but I've done this sort of thing before with fiberglass, and fiberglass is really easy to work with because you can cut it and re-glue it and shape it to wherever you want. But this ABS plastic is going to be a little bit more tricky. Without me actually moulding the side skirts in fiberglass, I think this is the best option for me, I think. So I think first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure up which line I want to cut. I'm going to get a nice Sharpie and just go down each line. So I think I'm going to cut along, sort of along that line, and try and keep, just cut along that line there and keep that return in there, and then that will join onto there, but keep all of that so I can bond them both together, then bolt it all up on the car, maybe pin it together along the actual side skirt and see what sort of shape we've got and how far away we are from actually original mounting points. Sounds straightforward, should be straightforward-ish. The only tricky bit is actually going to be bonding these together and making them look half decent for paint, etc. Because I want to paint these. I could vinyl wrap, I might even do that before paint, see how it looks. Line there, trying to keep it nice and level. I'll just cut this with a angle grinder with a fine blade, I think. On that line there, because that actually fades out there. See that on camera? That line actually fades out there into nothing, but I want to keep that distance there. So it's all the same all the way along. And then round like that. But I think on this corner here, I'm going to cut that off. So I've got this return here, section here, to join onto the other one, I think. Flying by the seat of my pants, but we'll figure it all out as we go along. As you can see, I've got the side skirt actually clamped in the vise just here. I'm going to actually attempt to cut it with my new jigsaw. Just gently go across a nice slow speed, and hopefully I get a nice clean cut. lots of cutting and trimming, etc. I think I've got it pretty much where I want to get it. I think it's going to look quite nice with that double depth there. I have got to fill this gap in here. It's all held together just with tape at the moment, till I get my welding kit, which is on its way, and then I can stitch it all back together. But I want to square these edges off on as well, because you can see there's going to be a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to squash all that together and stitch it nicely. I think that'll be a lot better. And then I've got to trim this to match this return here, so I've got that same return. So basically this is the original line of the vehicle, and it's just dropped down by what, half an inch or so, maybe an inch max. So just made it a little bit deeper of a standard side skirt. But I did make a mistake on this side, and I trimmed the top bit off there, but I've still got that piece. So I should be able to glue that back on, stitch that back on quite nicely, and then just blend it into this one. So it's just going to be a little piece in there, so I'm just going to use that area there. So that's not really a problem. I'm pretty happy with that so far. Like I said before, the only real problem I'm going to have is actually mounting it here underneath the car. But I was thinking it may even just twist on its own like that from the original mounting points and just clip in. But if it doesn't, then I can basically do a little relief cut in this, do a little V in it, and then bend this piece up to actually match the bottom of the car. So I've still got that depth, but then that'll mount to the original point. What I'm going to do now, I think I'm just going to tack this together with my soldering iron just to bond it together, see how it looks, and then I'll stick it on the car and we'll go from there, I think. But yeah, I'm quite happy so far. I think it's going to work. It just gives it that little bit of extra depth. Looks standard-ish OEM, if you like, and sets it apart from other Celicas, plus it'll match in nicely with the front bumper. Okay, so a couple of days have gone by now, and I'm still waiting for my plastic welding kit to come from Amazon. I found Amazon Prime isn't actually Prime anymore. You don't actually get it next day when they say you do. That's my little rant over. So what I'm going to actually do now is actually use some of the old plastic and see if I can actually melt it in and tack it together. So I want to make a little bit of headway on it. Tack it together just with a soldering iron. It's a high powered soldering iron. I can't remember what wattage it is, but it's quite a high one. It's not a standard soldering iron, so it should melt this quite nicely. So I'm just going to see if I can tack it together and melt some of this plastic in. Should have cleaned it first really, but I think it'll be alright for now. Let's have a go. Find a little join. So I spot weld it together. Use a bit of that. Just to feed that in. I've done this before, this method before on cracked bumpers, and it seems to work alright. It's just a bit more of a longer process than using the stitch tool. Let me just break that off. Come off. Yeah, that's going to work. I've got the tape at the back as well, so I can remove that afterwards, because I will be filling the front and just give it a nice smooth finish. That'll work nicely. Do another piece here. Spot weld first. Yeah, I may have to remove these old clip areas and just grind them off with the little die grinder. I even get the Dremel out. It's coronation day today. This morning we went round to our friend's house and had brunch and watched the new king get crowned. It's quite interesting, but it is pouring down with rain, so I was intending to do some welding on the exhaust, maybe in a previous video, maybe in a later video, wherever this video comes out, but I didn't fancy laying on a cold wet garage floor again today, so I thought I'd just play about with these again. lot more fun anyway. As you can see, I've just basically just spot welded the plastic in there. I did like a little weld to join them two together, and then I did like a little spot weld on top. I think that's going to work nice. So I've got to go all the way along, and then I've got lots of bits of plastic left from the cut-offs, so I've got lots to fill it in. So I think I'm going to do that, and then when the welding kit comes I'll just reinforce it along these little stitches here. But for now I think that might just work. So I'll continue with that, and I'll catch up with you in a bit. So I'm making a bit of progress. It's really secure. Yes, I've got to actually weld in this line here, but the filler has actually gone in quite nicely there, the actual melted plastic on the other side. So the cracks like there where I've messed up on the cutting, that will fill that quite nicely. But I'm really happy with that profile. It's got a nice curve on it as well, which is what I wanted. So when this is all welded in again, I'll give it a nice light skim of plastic body filler, proper bumper filler, and I think that will give it a really nice sort of shape. And then the only problem I'm going to have is whether I've got to do that pie cut here, like I said before, so this bottom bit will actually fold up to actually mount in the original mounting holes. But that bit I cut off by mistake has gone on really nicely. That's really secure now as well. Just needs a good sand, skim of filler and some paint, and I think that'll be perfect. So I'm going to continue again. Go all the way along the inside still, fill all these bits in here, get it all nice and secure and strong. Bit boring, smelly old process. Put the door open to let some air out or some air in, whichever way you want to say it. But, just make sure it's well ventilated. I've got my mask on as well. But this is generally going, touch wood. Okay.
Found out that the fuel pump is not under the back.
Okay, so it's all going pretty well. I think, yeah, it's nice and secure now. So just like I've done here, I'll do what I've done here and just melt some more plastic into this return here all the way along. It's a long old process. It's like any welding job, but that's really strong and secure now. So I think that's going to be really nice. So it should be sit a lot lower than the other one, give me the illusion of the car being lower along the side as well, same as the front bumper. I think you'll agree, that's bloody solid. I'm really happy with that. Yeah, it's a stinky old process, so definitely wear your PPE. But you'll have to take those tabs out there, so I can only use them that secure on there, so they may get in the way at the bottom. But like we said, we'll get the old one off, try this on when it's all fully welded, and then we'll figure out if that's just going to tilt up. If that tilts up and goes into those clip holes, I'm going to be really happy without having to cut that, which I think it might, because it's got that curve anyway. So I'm hoping it's just going to give it a little bit of tilt. If not, we say we'll just give it a return there and turn it up a little bit. Okay, back to some more welding. So as you can see, the original side skirt is quite shallow, so hopefully we'll be doubling up the actual depth there. So we've just got to actually jack up the car. I've got the jack here ready. Whip this one off and see how the other one was going to mount on, if it mounts on underneath. I know the top bit will mount on alright, it's just underneath whether it will use the same mounting points. If not, I'll do a bit of cut and shut in to make it fit. Alright, the side skirts come off really easy. There's a 10mm here, and I believe there's 2 more at the back. It's there, and there's all these clips, standard Toyota clips, and then there's clips along the inside of the actual kick plate, just inside the actual door and all the way along the back. So we'll undo all these first, and then we'll pop them off and try the modified skirt on, see what it's going to look like. The skirt's off, as you can see. Got half a Kew Gardens growing in there. Some glad I'm taking these off, give them a clean underneath anyway. But it still looks pretty solid. No actual rust. That's where you go here usually. A little bit of rust there. It's got a bit of wax oil on it, so somebody's put wax oil on there. They're all really solid. So I'm going to clean all this up as well, I think, before I put the side skirts back on. But I am really pleased with that. Looks quite nice. Very solid. Usually go all along the sills. So that's one thing I'm happy about. Okay, so move this to one side, and then we'll try the new one on. And definitely, well, I'm positive that the original mounting points aren't going to match up, because they're going to be about an inch low. So I'm going to do some cutting and shutting, I think. But we'll get them on, see how they look. So the skirt's roughly in place. It's just held up with a couple of clips. And I have found underneath, I may even use the original clip holes. If I can get that to just fall in there. Yeah, it's at an angle, but it may just work. That'll be cool if it does. So get the extra width of the side skirt. Let's use the original mounting points. Just drive one in there. So it's the original Toyota one, so I may have to get some bigger clips. Gonna go in. No. Let's try with a better clip. If not, I've got some spares in the garage. I may see it goes in. It's just I don't think it's just quite long enough to. No, it's not. I'll see what I've got in my clip box from Amazon. It wasn't that expensive. Some of these may work. I'm thinking the longer ones. So I'm going to give one of those a go. Hopefully that will hold it in a little bit further. If not, I'll have to do some bending along this line here just to square it off a little bit. That's okay, I can heat it up and bend it. I've also got to drill 2 holes here for the little diffuser that goes at the back. Just 2 holes in there, so I use the other one as a template and drill those. So I think that's going to actually work. But I think I'm going to have to do first is repair all the clip mounting points, because it keeps popping off at the back here. This point's completely broken off here. So I thought I'd also just do a little relief cut in this return here, just to bring that up a little bit and drill those holes, and that will secure it in there. So in theory I should be able to just secure it from the 2 rear points there and one at the front, and then hopefully the clips will hold it. And I'm tempted to do riv nuts in the actual body along these lines here, and then just bolt it in with some nice stainless bolts. So I might even do that yet. But first of all, I'm going to give this a bit of a clean under here, I think. I've also noticed, why is it when you go to garages, you always jack your car up on the pinch welds? Why don't you just leave them alone and jack it in the proper jacking points? So now I've got to straighten all that out as well. So just a little update of my progress on the plastic welding. I'm actually removing the old mounting points here, because I think they were actually found in the side skirt against the actual sill a little bit just there. So I think I've just cut those off, basically just melted them off with the soldering iron. I'm outside today because it's a lovely day. It's also better for not breathing the fumes in, etc. So a nice bit of airflow. And so I'm just going to continue with this welding, just going together really nice, and then I'm going to sand this with the grinder with a sanding disc just across the front, and then we're going to give it a nice skim of some plastic filler. I think I am going to cut that relief V in here, I think, just to bring this portion up just a touch, just so it mounts easier. It mounts nice with these holes I cut here. I'm going to clean these up as well, so I can actually get the little diffuser part in that goes in a little dirt shield. So I'll just copy the actual design of the old ones and just melt them round to make them nice and smooth and sand them, etc. There's a lot of bodywork going to have to be done on this before paint, because it's silver again. So Silver's one of the worst colours for showing marks and scratches. So I think I'm pretty much done with all the plastic welding. I've gone over the top roughly with the little angle grinder with a flapper disc on there, but I want to actually get in here just with a little bit of 40 grit, try and smooth it all off, get it as nice and as flat as possible, and then we're going to give it a skim all the way across just with some filler. I'll just go and get it and show you. The filler I really like to use is the U-Pole Plastics, but that's gone completely solid over the last 5 years in my cupboard. So I'm actually going to be using this big boy plastic flexi filler. I've used this before on a few little jobs and it's been pretty good. It's not as good as the U-Pole, but it's probably half the price. So I'm going to mix some of this up, skim it on, and see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm actually back in the workshop now because it's actually really warm outside and the filler's going off really quick. I think we're actually starting to get a bit of a summer, which is quite nice. I've done one skim all the way along. So it's had a skim all the way, just one generous skim. So I'm going to let that set up nicely, then I'm just going to give that a good sand over with an 80 grit on a block, get it nice and flat. And then in the next video we'll see what it looks like again on the car and see if we have to do any adjustments. So make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next instalment of this custom side skirt journey. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.